Hello, hello. Welcome to this live tutorial or live stream on Thursdays. And I am Marcus Winnie, and I am a creature artist. And we are going to continue on from last week's video where we sort of just chat and sculpt at the same time. We're currently doing a orc bust. Let me just turn my cam on. There you go. There you can see me now. Hello, everyone. So yeah, these sessions are going to be pretty chilled. We're not going to. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail like the Monday lessons where I sort of do a tutorial, live stream tutorial uh, for you. This one's going to be more just me showing you how I go about sculpting a creature, and also taking questions and chats stuff like that. So first things first, I am using a ZBrush license 2022.0.7, and these are the Thursday live stream episode number 2, and I'm just thankful that you're all here as well. So let's just jump straight into ZBrush, shall we? So it's just where we left off. 1 second, we get rid of these banners quick. I'm sorry, I'm kind of doing this all by myself as well. I haven't got a producer or anything like that, so it's going to take a little time to get used to things. So where did we finish off last time? Well, we kind of got the bust sort of to a good midpoint in the Dynamesh sculpting phase. We were ready to take it up a notch and start to add even more detail. So I'm just going to come in here to geometry, go down to Dynamesh, select the head. Just going to select this head quick. Oops. Yep. Geometry, it's turned off Dynamesh for some reason. Anyway, doesn't matter. We'll just turn up the Dynamesh some more. This is just going to help it with keeping the detail that we've already sculpted. So if you have a Dynamesh model and it's at quite a low topology, it's going to sort of destroy any detail that you might have put in there. So just make sure that you have a high enough resolution on here just to make sure it comes out nice when you Dynamesh it. And we're also going to add, so just going to add the eyelids to that as well. So I'm going to merge down. So it's like I mentioned before, it's at this point that I am actually happy and ready to take the blocked out version a step further in Dynamesh, and that's why I'm merging all the pieces that I had from last time and Dynameshing them together. So gonna Dynamesh that as well. So now the eyelids are part of the model, and I'm just gonna grab the clay buildup. How's everyone doing, by the way? I hope everyone's having a good week. Let me just grab some music here. I don't know if you people enjoy the music, but I cannot do this without something in the background. Cool. Just turn this a little softer. Yeah, just about hear it. Cool. Yeah, how's everyone doing? Thought I'd just ask first. See if you want, put it in the chat, and I'll say hi. Joseph, my only member. Hello again. Thank you for your membership, by the way. Cool. Just gonna do some sculpting whilst I wait for the chat to come through. So when I'm doing these, the next stage, I'm actually going a little softer with the brush. I don't want to go heavy-handed like I did at the beginning. Now I'm actually thinking about the forms and seeing if I can bring them out even more than before. So I'm not trying to go too hard with the brush at this stage. Still being able to, you could still use the move brush a lot at this stage as well to make sure that it's exactly how you like it. And you can see in here, got a little bit of an issue with some topology in here, so I'm just going to Dynamesh that again, add some more resolution quick. We are. I'm going to solo that. Now you can see I need to make some cavity in here for the eyeballs to sit in, so I'm just going to sculpt in around here. Have a look at the chat. Oksana, hello. Costu Melandu, oh god, hello. TH Studio, hi, great to see you, man. Nice to see you too. Oksano, let me just see quickly. Bring these up on the actual screen. I keep forgetting I have that ability with the StreamYard. It's great to see you live. I was watching the Bigfoot video earlier today. Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was a pretty fun one to do, actually. Has anyone seen the Teletubby one yet? I think that was quite funny. Gonna have a look at what's TH Studio. Dragon Sculpt would be for another time or not. Yes, the Dragon Sculpt is always on a Monday because the tutorials are on Mondays for the Dragon Sculpt, and that's when I go through it really detailed. These ones are a bit more chilled. I'm just going to take some questions from you guys, or you guys can just watch as I attempt to try and get this character done in live time. So you guys can get a feel for how I actually do it in real time. But yes, the Dragon Sculpt is for Mondays. Let's have a look at this one. Chi Beckwells, I didn't know you did a live session. You work so great, inspiring. Thank you. Yes, I have only recently started doing these live streams. I thought that it was time for me to start branching out to more people and showing you how exactly I go about doing these things. It's kind of my way of just, giving back to the community as well. Let's see. Joseph, I was thinking to upgrade to tier 3 on Patreon for these archives, but I can watch YouTube on my TV without any other device. Fair enough. It's the only good thing about the good thing about the Patreon one is that you also get the what do you call it, the files, the ZBrush files. So if you feel like your especially for the dragon tutorial, if you feel like your dragon isn't up to as scratch as you want it to be, or you want to be closer to what I'm sculpting, you can download the file and continue on with the file, from where I've saved off. You also get the brushes and stuff like that later as well, so that's pretty good as well. And there's also exclusive tutorials I'm creating for the patrons as well. Voxel Forge Ministers. Question: how do you like Taco Bell in your country? I haven't had Taco Bell, to be honest. I don't eat fast food that much. I'm kind of on a cleansing diet, and I've been on it for a while now. And yeah, I just don't eat fast food, really. Yes, sorry. I mean, I do look pretty fat, but that's just because I eat too much other stuff. But yeah, I don't eat fast food stuff. Sorry. I heard that Taco Bell though is pretty brutal on you in the mornings next day, so maybe if I wanted to cleanse myself properly, I'd go grab one. Joseph has asked, any teasers regarding the exclusive tutorials? There is going to be, because at the moment you're going through on the Patreon, you're going through the Dragon Bust tutorial just to refresh yourself for the new year, and that's one video a week. Going through to creating a dragon bust. Then there is going to be a new full tutorial, and I can say that it's based on a very famous film. Sort of, it's set in a park, and the animals get loose. And yeah, I don't know how much more I can say on that. I want to say more, but yeah, the animals get loose, and one of them is a very clever girl, so maybe that will help basically. So, going to continue on sculpting now for a little bit. If you have any other questions, please let me know in the chat. I'll take periodic breaks just to read the chat and try and concentrate on this side of the chat. Let me change the music quick. I think everyone's sick of that one. Play this one. Cool. So it's at this point that I'm also still contemplating the actual design of the character. So I have these orcs from down here from before, and you can see they got some really good expressions on their faces and stuff. Now there will be a bit more of an expression on this character's face later on, but for now I just want to get as much of the base sculpt done before I actually introduce any sort of expression on him. So I'm just going to make the eyes smaller, slightly smaller. They almost look like little dots in the head. You see here, they're kind of really small. I know these are the AI images that I found online, so I shouldn't really, focus too much on the details. But the eyes are pretty small in the head, so I'm just going to make those eyes a little smaller. Yeah, I'm going to move this out of the way again. It's so difficult trying to place things on a screen and have it all in one place, and then still be able to sculpt at the same time. I'm just going to grab the dam stand. I'm trying to get these nice bags under his eyes now. Yeah, so at the moment I've got like 3 screens on at the moment. I've got the Wacom tablet, which I'm using here. And I've got another screen which has got the YouTube and the chat, and I've got the StreamYard down here. So it's kind of flickering on the side of my face here, and it's kind of the time delay as well. So it's a little bit weird seeing myself two seconds later. Yeah, just gonna detail these eyes a little bit more. Bit of a sad looking orc, isn't he? I think we need to maybe bring this brow down. And just detail it a little bit. And you can see I'm not actually using the smooth brush still. As I mentioned in the previous tutorials, I don't use the smooth brush too much when I sculpt. It's mainly used later on if I need to fix something big that I've messed up on. But normally I just use the clay buildup brush to sort of sculpt back. I'm going to make this brow slightly bigger. And always keep remembering to move around your model when you're at this point in your sculpt. You don't want to stay too long in one place at one angle, so just keep remembering to do that as well. I'm going to add this sort of bags just here. And these wrinkles come down here. Yeah. Ooh. Just gonna that's pretty good. You got a top lip here, just gonna bring that out a bit more, I think. I'm just gonna hide everything else. I'm gonna grab the standard brush. I'm just gonna highlight this top lip. I'll sit there. Now I'm going to be sculpting this character so that it doesn't have an open mouth. That's just a conceptual preference because it's just a concept. It's not going to be something that we're going to rig later and animate or anything like that. But yeah, so I'm just going to make it a closed mouth. I'm going to add some teeth down here, so it's going to have a bit of a jaw that juts out at the bottom, so his jaw is sort of like that, you know. Gonna fill out this bottom lip a bit. Hope everyone can hear me all right. If you want, you can just add a thumbs up if it's all good for you. I don't quite know how I'm sounding, to be honest. Cool. Hide everything. Looking pretty good. Cool. Let's have a look at the chat then. See if there's anything in here. What have you guys got to say? Joseph. Yeah, a little bit was hard to start to follow along without your purest scene because I had to chase some of the pictures online. Yeah, it looks like the Patreon upgrade will be better off for me. Yeah. Yeah, sorry, that's just how it's all set up, unfortunately. If you haven't got the Patreon account or the Patreon membership, then you will have to go online and sort of search for those dragons concepts. But they're not too difficult to find, so you should be able to find the ones you want. And if you want, you can pause the YouTube and take a snapshot of the references. I know it's not as good as having proper references, but you'll have something at least. Cool. Audio sounds good. That's great. Carry on here. We're just going to add a bit of geometry here. The skull. So a lot of people, when they sculpt, tend to, I think I mentioned this in the last video, but they tend to sculpt very haphazardly, I would say. So instead of taking their time with very light brush strokes, they want to get in and they want to sculpt hugely, and that's not their fault. It's a beginning thing. I mean, when I first started, it was the same thing. I did the same thing. It sort of went in and just threw the brush around and tried to sculpt as much as possible very quickly. But with time and patience, you can actually teach yourself to just take a step back and take your time with a sculpt and enjoy it. That's the main thing about being a sort of creature artist, is that I would say the majority of the sculpting is the best part. It's when you get to the retopo or texturing. Sometimes, well, texturing is okay, but retopo can be very boring and slow, and you know. So when you're doing these sort of concept sculpts, you can take your time with them and make them look really good and interesting. I mean, the hardest thing to do is actually to stop sculpting, I find. So I would probably sculpt forever if I could, but at some point you have to just sort of stop yourself from going too far, really. And that's sometimes the hardest thing to do as an artist. Okay. Let's too bad. And at the end of this, I'm going to show you the comparison of what we've done tonight compared to what we had at the very beginning. So it'll make a bit more sense as well. Let me just change a song. Here we are. Cool. So has anyone got any questions they'd like to ask me whilst I'm sculpting away here? Please feel free. In the chat. And if I haven't seen your chat, please, I don't know how you ping people on this, but just make it more just make it visible for me, I guess. Joseph? Joseph asked, would you tell about your work on Adam project? Oh, yeah, sure. So the Adam project, I worked at DNEG. Cool. I think it was about 3-4 years ago. It was during lockdown, and I became a build TD. And a build TD is basically it's a person who's a generalist inside the film industry. So you have to know an array of technical skills with 3D programs and stuff like that. It's not a creature artist, but it's more of like it's more of a general artist. So you need to know how to do hard surface texturing and organics and stuff like that, and digi-double stuff. It's not the fun side. I wouldn't say it was the fun side. It was fun when I worked there, but it's not the sort of thing I would want to do for the rest of my life. I'm very much going towards a concept artist or visual artist. But yeah, so on the film, the Adam project, I worked on the spaceship. So if I just bring up my ArtStation quick, let's hide this. So on my ArtStation, you see here, I worked on the spaceship. I worked on the damage of the ship. So they gave me a spaceship, and then I had to add the damaged panels that you can see here. And under here, I also worked on rocks, surprisingly. I think that's what a lot of people do when they work in films from the VFX studios. You think you're going to get, Venom or Spider-Man or, God, I don't know, an alien or something, but no, most of the time, or the majority of the time, you'll probably be sculpting rocks. So I would get used to doing that. Here you can see some damage on the spaceship that I did, and then there's the rocks on either side that I did as well. And here's sort of a what do you call it? Grayscale model of the canyon run. And that was my involvement in this project, Adam project. I think that spaceship took about a good, I want to say, I think it was like 3 months, 2 months, 3 months. And I remember it vividly because I spent a whole week from 9 in the morning till 4 in the morning working on it. Because when you work in film, you don't really have a time that you work from. It's kind of like if they need you on a show, you work. So I remember going to bed at 4 in the morning and then having some sleep and then having to get back up and do it again the next day or the same day. And it was a grueling week or two that I had to do that. So yeah. Yeah, Voxel Miniature knows it. He says, not going to lie, he is right. I have a friend who did rocks for half a year for Towers of AS Ashba. I don't know what that is. But yeah, it's rocks, guys. Rocks are the main thing that you'll be sculpting. Unless you're very good and you can break out of that, or show potential to break out of it, then they'll give you other things to do. But yeah, rocks, get used to sculpting them. In fact, I have a tutorial that I'm working on at the moment for my Patreons for later on in the year that is focusing on that sort of rock stuff. So, and techniques on how to sculpt rocks. So yeah, that should be some fun. I mean, it's laborious, but it's quite cool to see how rocks are sort of sculpted. So just gonna define some of these wrinkles underneath here with the dam standard. So when I say define, I'm just saying, I mean block out. I'm not actually going to define them. I'm just blocking them out for later. So gonna sculpt them in here. How do you guys finding these live streams that I'm doing, by the way? I mean, are you guys sort of interested in this sort of thing, or these sort of sculpts, or would you prefer a more educated sort of approach to it? I know that Mondays are quite educated because we're doing it as a tutorial, but these Thursday live streams can also be set up in a tutorial way where I can show you how to sculpt. I mean, if you're wanting to learn like anatomy or stuff like that, then we can maybe look into that more than just random creatures. But I mean, it's up to you guys. What we got here? What's this one? Say Arch Acrif. I hope I said that right. Wilson. Hey, I've been following you for a long time. Keep up the good work as a concept artist and sculptor. What type of work do you usually get? So, I normally get film or game jobs. So, I would say for me, getting film jobs is a lot harder than getting game jobs, because in film, there's a lot more people trying to break into the film industry and stuff like that, or VFX industry. And there's also a lot of stuff moving away from the West, I think. There's a lot more studios opening up in Asia and stuff like that, who can handle the workloads and I guess are cheaper. But if you want to work on a character or have that portfolio piece that shows off that you can do everything, then game design is probably the best way to go forward. Because you get to start, you when you get given a character, you do the whole thing. You don't just do the modeling and then pawn it off to someone who does a retopo, and then that person pawns it off to someone who does a texturing. As in film you actually focus on one specific subject most of the time, although you have to have a sort of backlog of skills. But you'll find that there's a lot of people in film that just focus on that one thing and do that one thing very well, and they are indispensable, or not indispensable, sorry. So they will have jobs all the time. So, but if you're doing game design, you'll learn a lot more skills and you'll have a lot more under your belt, basically. Cool. Yeah, let's have a look here. So Joseph, so after 6 months of sculpting rocks, he can sculpt a Dwayne Johnson even with eyes closed. Yeah, I wish. That's the one thing I try to stay clear from. I know there's an artist that I used to work with at DNEG and at MPC when I worked in film, and he's a good friend of mine, and he does like the celebrity faces for film. So he does the sculpting work for that, and he is really good. I can't remember his name, but yeah, he is one of those guys that he will never not have a job. He'll always have a job because he's just that good. But he can do, celebrity faces or portraits in 3D very well. I found that staying clear of that sort of stuff is better for me, because it means that if I have a mistake on the face, and especially if you're doing someone who's famous, they're going to notice it straight away. I did one before. Let me just show you quick. I'll show you how badly I did. If I go to my portfolio here in ArtStation, I'll scroll all the way to the bottom. All the way. Jesus, is a lot. Right, this one. So I tried to do an Arnold Schwarzenegger sculpt because I was pretty bored and I wanted to see if I could do it. And the actual sculpt didn't come out too badly, but when I started to actually add textures and stuff, and the hair, especially hair cards, oh, I don't do well with hair cards. But adding the hair cards and trying to get the face right in the sculpting was an absolute mission. Just scroll down to the bottom here, so you can see trying to get his face is just, for me, it was very difficult. I think I got the body all right. It was just the face that was a bit of it's an uncanny valley, basically. It's like Terminator Salvation. Would you seen Terminator Salvation? When you see him in that, it's sort of uncanny valley sort of thing. Didn't look great. But yeah, that was my attempt at a celebrity character. My first and probably my last, until I can learn facial sculpting more in the future. But these guys that I talk about that can do them very well, they know their stuff, they know their craft, and it's best to know your craft if you're going to do that sort of thing. I'm one of those people who are, have many skills but master of none, basically. See here. I think this setup is as cool as it is. Yeah, I love the stuff. H Studios says, I'm enjoying watching it, and I really like to hear from you more about your journey in improving your sculpting skills. Yeah, thanks. Oh yeah, once you've been doing it as long as I've been doing it, this YouTube stuff and all those videos that I've created on YouTube, it becomes more difficult to try and make something unique, because you've done quite a lot, so you got to try and figure out, how am I going to make the next thing better than the last thing? I guess I'm just always chasing that, really. To be fair, I think I need to start learning more hard surface stuff. I mean, I have done a few hard surface things in the past. Again, I think I don't have the patience to sit here and just sculpt high poly, hard surface stuff. It's such a tedious thing to do, and it just takes forever to do as well. So maybe one day I'll sit down and relax into it a bit more. I don't mind doing the concepting of hard surface stuff, because that's quite cool. That's kind of like organic sculpting, but then adding the hard surface finish at the end. I think I've done that with a few of my concepts. Hold on, I'll show you. Back into here. So, where is it? Oh, that's pretty obvious. But this one here. So this one was a hard surface concept, but it was, it's a concept basically. But it wasn't sculpted using sort of shapes that are hard surface. It was sculpted more organic, and then adding the high polished sort of finish at the end. You just see here, so you can see I'm working as I do in organics, but I'm adding that extra layer of hard surface on top with the sort of hard, what do you call it, the H polish brush, the trim dynamic, and the trim adaptive, the dam standard. So more hard surface brushes than organic brushes, but it started off organic, you know. So just gonna continue building this up, making it look a bit more interesting. This music's getting on my nose now. Let's see. Let's play this one. Right. Akraf asks, let me just find that one. Asks, do you get most of your freelance work from Instagram or ArtStation? I think ArtStation, yeah, because I have a email linked to that. I get a lot of people asking me through ArtStation, but I don't really get that many through Instagram. But there's also the thing about Instagram is you don't know if it's real or not, the job, and you got to be careful because there's a lot of people out there that will ask you to do a job but then not pay you, and yeah, I get a lot of those emails. So I tend to try, unless I can research the company or research or know the person or can see the person's profile or something, then I don't really take that many freelance jobs. Just going around the clay build-up still. I think this is the main brush I've been using this whole time, and I'm just ever so lightly sculpting this character's details. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just gonna grab this tusk quick. Actually, no, I'm gonna make a new one. I'm just gonna append a cube this time. I'm gonna shrink it down. Grab the move brush. Make sure symmetry's on. I'm just gonna sort of shave off the hard edges there. And then at the bottom here, pinch it a bit. There we are. And then we're going to turn off symmetry. Just move these into place. Now they look a bit big, a bit weird, but we can just fix that by shrinking them down a bit. Again, because this is a sort of fantasy creature, I'm not too worried about teeth looking weird, because, you know, he's an orc. Of course his teeth are going to look weird. And what I can do is I can just sharpen one of these ones here. I just use a move brush. I'm just gonna make them asymmetrical. There we are. And I'm just going to merge all these teeth down so they're all one piece. That's pretty good. Grab the move brush and I'm just going to pull these bags up a bit. And just fill that up a bit. Oh, how's everyone doing? Oh, I wanted to ask about the poll from last week that we didn't sort out. Would people still prefer to be 8:30, or would they prefer 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock start? I'm going to go 7 or 8 o'clock start, and then we'll run through until if it started at 7, it'll run through until 8:30. If it starts at 8, then we'll run through till 9:30. So let me know in the chat, and I'll see how people feel about that. Gonna make that dimple in there again. I think I lost it. Just gonna, whoops, part that in the middle, in the lip. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. So you can see I haven't actually Dynameshed it since the beginning, and I think that's a good thing to do, is to get used to not Dynameshing too much. Because as I mentioned before, the more you use Dynamesh, the more likely you're going to lose details when you Dynamesh. So having the patience to not use Dynamesh too much is a pretty difficult thing, really. Gonna focus on these ears a bit. I'm using a standard brush for this because the ears are kind of smooth topology. I don't want to use the clay buildup for that. Grab the move brush. Just going to pull this earlobe out a bit. Come back to the front. Just build up some of this front part here. Okay. Going to add some lines for these sort of wrinkles that we can see here. It's just so I have something to refer to later on. I'm not too worried about them right now, but I just wanted to put them in there so I can see what they look like. See what it looks from the top. I'm just going to pull that brow out a bit more in the front. There we go. So yeah, I normally, when I sculpt, I do it in sessions of 30 minutes, because sculpting for hours on end is not fun, and you'll find that, you know, you'll get bored of your character or whatever. So you kind of want to do it in like small increments. So 20 to 30 minutes is roughly the amount of time that I normally spend on a sculpt at one point. And I'll go away, turn it off, or go get a cup of tea or coffee or something, and then continue afterwards. Just so I have a fresh look at things when I come back to it. Got a message here from Waka the Maka. Hi there, I have a question. When it comes to receiving design sheets, do you look at the line art or the pretty renders? I find the pretty renders, sorry, the rendered versions of the character they want is a lot easier to sculpt than line art. That's because you can see depth, you know. With line art, you're sort of just given a 2D sort of image. But if you can ask them to render it properly so that it has shadows and highlights and stuff like that, then you know how the muscles look in shaded sort of form. And yeah, it's just really helpful for when you're sculpting those sort of things. Otherwise, you'll just have a line art, but you can't see the depth to, you know, from the eye, how deep are the eyes set in, or how big are how much definition is in the muscles and stuff. So line art not that great for sculpting. If you wanted to block out your character and you need a silhouette, then you can just use the line art as a silhouette. But I would always try to ask for a rendered version, like as close to final look as it's going to be in whatever you're doing. It just makes it easier, really. Cool. Has anyone else got any other questions? Feel free to put it in the chat and I'll read it out. I also found in my online, sorry, not on my portfolio, but online, I found an old sculpt of mine I did. You can see, I don't know if you can see it. This one. This is about, oh God, how long ago is this? This is about maybe 6 years ago I made this. Maybe 4 years or 5 years ago. Yeah, this took forever to make for me. And I was so happy about it. And it was one of the first renders that I used in Keyshot, like an old version of Keyshot. I wanted to try using that. And it came out looking like that. So I thought, yeah, that's not too bad. But yeah, I love drawing sort of orc creatures and stuff like that, you know. It's just very interesting. So the techniques that I'm using are kind of just sort of copying the masters, which I find the masters, the A. Baker Studio for Weta Studios. If you've ever seen The Hobbit, or you've seen the making of The Hobbit, or you've researched orcs from The Hobbit, you'll come out with these sort of images, right? And it's interesting because these are the actual sculpts that they created for a head design, right? As you can see, very basic, very basic, especially this one. Very basic. It looks like a shark from certain angles, you know, the way that the mouth is and stuff like that, and the nose. And the interesting thing is that they took this model, grey model, into Photoshop and did all the other stuff inside of Photoshop. So everything else that is rendered like that is all done in Photoshop. And I've been trying for the last 4 or 5 years to do the exact same thing, like use the same techniques. With a twist, obviously, I have my own sort of way of doing it, but I still want to learn their particular way of doing it. But you can see that I would say the majority of the sculpting, when it comes to concept sculpting, you're doing about 30% sculpting, and then I would say the rest of it, 70%, would be inside of Photoshop, making it look good. Because you have so little time when you're a concept sculptor, you have to get things done, right? So you don't always have time to make the perfect sculpt and render it perfectly or whatever. And I always look back at these concepts and just keep telling myself that you don't have to make everything inside of ZBrush. You can take it into Photoshop and you can do the hair inside of Photoshop instead. So I don't normally tend to do a lot of hair sort of sculpting, because I know that I can just take it into Photoshop and, I don't know, get an image online of a guy with a grizzly beard and take the beard from the photo and stick it on my character, because it's a concept. It's not supposed to be a full-on model, right? So I'm always, looking back at these renders and concepts, just amazed by them, really. So yeah, that's the kind of thing we're going to work on these live streams on Thursdays. If we're not doing anatomy sculpting or anything like that, we'll be doing that sort of techniques, basically. So carry on here. Let me just zoom in on one of these. Okay. I'm going to get rid of that point on his nose there. I think that works very well. Just sculpt in there. At some point, we're going to, add asymmetry to them. So there'll be if I turn the symmetry off, there'll be like a wrinkle that maybe come through like that, like we've got here, and that will just break that symmetry line up a bit more. But we're not going to do that just yet, so I'm just going to undo that. Stay in symmetry as long as you can when you're sculpting, and then you can do all the asymmetry stuff later once you're happy with how it's coming out. All right, I think it's time for a music change again. Good lord, you forget about these music changes. Cool. How's everybody, by the way? How's everybody doing? Where are you all coming from? I know I asked this last time, but I might have some new people here, so just wondering where you're all coming from and what's your occupation? Are you a student or are you a professional artist? That'd be great to know as well. So we got a message from Megalo Bro. That's a funny name. Says, hi, do you have any advice for pretty bad art block or burnout? I've been out of 3D for a year and find it very hard to get back into it. Oh, art burnout. Yeah, everybody suffers that once in a while. I've suffered that a lot. I would say if you're stuck, just oh, bro, this is weird. This is a strange one. Whenever I'm stuck on a character or art-wise, I'll do something else. So if I'm stuck sculpting, 3D sculpting, and I can't get anything on page, I would then maybe go to Photoshop and just do some sketches, maybe do a painting, watch films that you're interested in that's got creatures that you want to sculpt. So World of Warcraft was a good one for me. Then you got The Hobbit. Get yourself inspired by what you see. Also watch a lot of the behind the scenes stuff and how they make it. That's always really inspiring for me. And then I would find an art piece on ArtStation, anything, it could be anything, and that you like, and try to copy it, or copy it in the sense of use it as a focal point, but add your own twist to it. You don't want to copy it one for one. That's pretty bad. But yeah, I mean, art block is really, it's really a bad thing, especially if you've been doing it for a lot. If you've been doing art for a long time, and all of a sudden you found yourself, you can't sculpt, you can't think, and yeah, it can play on your mind. But I would maybe, if you're doing it too much, take a break. If you're not doing it enough, then get inspired by other artists, and then just you need to force yourself to do it, really. Get past that block, I guess. So Joseph is asking, speaking of Hobbit, will you sculpt Smaug maybe someday? Oh. Yeah, Smaug, that's a big one. Have you guys watched the making of the Hobbit, especially the Smaug videos? That was no mean feat. I think there's a section in there where they explain that they created, was it 3,000 individual scales, or more than 3,000 individual scales? Bloody hell, I could not do that. I think I would go crazy. I think I have actually done it once. One second, let me try and find it. So just come in here again. I'll try and find it. It's at the bottom. Here we are. So this dragon bust I created, I did all the scales individually, hand sculpted. So all these scales you can see here are individually hand sculpted scales, and it took me forever to do. And I think I lost my mind a little bit. It's a great technique to learn, because then you can do scales like really easily. But yeah, I don't think I'll be doing that again in a hurry. It does make your artwork look a lot more professional or organic, I guess you could say. But there's a lot of sort of alphas out there that you can buy or use to create scale textures. So especially if you're doing concept work, if it's concept, then yeah, just use alphas. Don't worry about sculpting in each individual scale. But if you're going to create a character for film or a character for game or something like that, you're probably going to need to do some what do you call it, real sculpting with all the scales and whatnot. Yeah, I don't think I'll be jumping on the Smaug thing for a little while. The I guess the dragon tutorial on Mondays is as close as we're going to get to Smaug this as a dragon sculpt. It's all the same techniques. The only difference is that we're going to be doing a dragon with 4 legs and wings rather than a dragon with 2 legs and wings. So yeah, you can migrate all the techniques you're going to learn from the dragon tutorial on Mondays and do it on your own sort of dragon in the future. Yes. Let me just look at this message from Akrif. Akrif. I hope it's right. Akrif. Even if you do alphas, you still need to reinforce them with hand sculpting. That's exactly correct. Yes. I kind of skipped. I skip that section quite a bit when I'm doing these quick concepts. But yes, you are correct. When you Ashraf. So when you do use alphas, you still need to go in and detail those alphas to bring them out more, or enhance them, or clean them up. Especially if you're doing scales, you need to clean up the ones that overlap each other. Otherwise, it's going to look weird when you come to texturing it. But yes, you are correct. You will have to clean up the sculpts. Cool. And that's not the only one that I did. Actually, I'll show you another one I did. Whoops. This was at the top. No, it's not. But there's this one I created. This dragon. Based on the Goblet of Fire, Harry Potter, by the way. One of my favorite films ever, Harry Potter series. This one was based on the Goblet of Fire version. I'll just scroll down to the bottom. This one was created using alphas, but again, this is a concept. It's not a dragon that he would use in film or game. You could probably use this in game, but not in film. Definitely not in film, unless it's a very far away creature in the distance that doesn't come too close to the camera. But this one was done using alphas, as you can see. And there's a lot of cleanup. There would be a lot of cleanup work in this as well. So, and we're gonna have our sort of dragon that we're creating for Mondays. It's gonna have the same kind of finish as this, maybe a bit more detailed though, because this one was done in about a week or 2 weeks, so it was quite a quick dragon to do in my spare time. There was another one I created. It wasn't a dragon. It was a dinosaur head. A Carnifex. Carnifex? Let me see if I can find it. Carnotaurus, sorry. So this Carnotaurus that I created, it's all hand sculpted. There's no alphas. This is all the scales were done by hand. And again, it took forever to do. But it does come out quite nicely. Especially when you come to the texturing part, because then you can really get in between those scales with masking techniques inside of texturing programs. And you can get those cracks and stuff like that in the middle, in between the scales and whatnot. As you can see, there's a bit of a time lapse here as well. And you can see this is all hand sculpted. So yeah. Let me just see what we got here. Got one from Megalo Bro. Thank you for the advice. I was doing quite a lot of prior job hunting, learning 3D skills, and volunteering, which led to the burnout. I'd love to get into 3D printing and find the fun again. Yeah. When you're in the industry, when you've got a job sorted, and you're doing this on the side, it's a lot easier to create your own work. But when you're trying to find a job as well as learn and do extra stuff, it can be very Burnout. You can get a lot of burnout from it. So yeah, just keep going, mate. You know. By the way, do you? Oh, sorry. Ashroth. I hope is that the right? Is that right? Was that right? Ashroth. Sorry. By the way, do you see creature design and creature artist job in the future? Because I'm really interested. Thanks, by the way. Do you see creature design and creature artist job? I don't have one that I need. I'm currently a character artist for a video game studio. I would love to get back into film. I think film's very difficult to get back into at the moment, so I would have to wait and see, really. But yeah, I'd love to get back into full-on creature design stuff. I mean, there's a new Jurassic Park coming out. I do know that. I think they're remaking Jurassic Park or rebooting Jurassic Park, and ILM, which is Industrial Light and Magic, they're currently working on it. So it would have been great to work on that film. Of course, film is a weird beast, right? You can be in film and be doing great, but they can always just turn around and say, we don't need you anymore, so you're not fired, but you're laid off. So it's not very job secure, I would say, personally, myself. This is all personal approaches or my own personal thoughts. So take it how you will, but I would say that film is very difficult to get into. It's great to work in, but you will always be worried if you're going to be in it for a long time. If you're lucky enough to get a permanent position, then great. But if you're not, then you're always constantly worried in the back of your mind. Is today going to be the day, sort of thing. Game design, it's a lot more. I want to say a lot more secure, but it is a lot more secure compared to film. If you can get into a great studio, then you can really, climb the ranks and create really cool projects. Like I said, it's a little bit more secure. It's less pay, I reckon, but you're gonna be more secure with your job. So that's what I would say. That cool. Is any other things? Yeah. Joseph, have you seen 2020 Reign of Fire? Yep, I have seen 2020 Reign of Fire, and it is possibly one of my favorite dragon films, apart from obviously The Hobbit. But it does have some really good dragons in it, and really good acting as well. Well, as far as 2020 films go. But yeah, I hope they do a reboot of that film, actually, because with the technology we have today, I mean, the dragons still look really good, but we could reboot it, or someone comes up with the idea to make Reign of Fire 2, then I'd jump on that any day. I mean, the House of Dragons stuff, the Game of Thrones stuff, those dragons are really cool as well. I used to work with the one of the texture artists and sculptors, the Game of Thrones dragons. He's a cool guy. But dragons are always fascinating, I'd say. They're always something that people love to see. But before you can be, sculpt a dragon, you need to know how to use the brushes and the tools that ZBrush has to offer. So I would recommend that everybody just grabs these brushes that I'm using, which are all the basic brushes, and just get sculpting and just test them out, use them, get used to them before you embark on something that's very complex. The more complex the model as well, the more likely you're not going to want to finish it. So doing something very basic and very easy at the beginning is going to benefit you later. Like this little guy we got here. A very basic orc sculpt or orc bust. And it's reminiscent of a human, so you know we can identify with it easier. But it's an easy sculpt, I would say. Oh, what's the time? Oh my god, it's 1 hour 14 minutes. All right, well, I think I'm gonna call it very soon. What I'll do is we'll just have 15 minutes at the end to have some more questions if you have any more questions. But I'm going to leave it there for now. And 1 second. So I'm just going to load in previous one. Oops. What did I do there? There we go. So I'm just going to load in this previous one. I'm just going to merge visible for this and jump back to the one we've been creating tonight, or I've been working on tonight. Now I'm just going to append the old one so that you can see just how much work we've got achieved tonight. Is that the old one? Yeah. So can you see, even though it's been a very slow sculpt, and I've been doing it very slowly, and you probably didn't see much going on, it builds up over time, right? So all those little brush strokes with the clay build-up brush to get those forms working better has given us a more fuller face. And the fact that we took more time in where we're actually putting more of the forms on our character has given us a more realistic design as well. So we haven't just wasted an hour and 20 minutes working on this. We've actually, made some good progress, I'd say. Let's turn that one off. Cool. So I'm going to leave it there for now and answer some questions. If you have any questions, like 15 minutes now, we can just have some questions if you like, or if you've got any. And also, I would like to just plug some stuff in here. So if you are interested in more tutorials and brushes and models, then you can grab them all on my online stores. Just grab the banner. So I have got a Flip Normals, a Gumroad, an ArtStation, and a Cube Brush online store, and you can grab all of those on my online store. If you want, you can also become a member on my YouTube channel, and that will give you access to the archives of the Dragon Sculpt Mondays, and also the archives of the Thursday Sculpt live streams that we're doing here. If you wanted to watch it back, if you're interested in the sort of things I'm talking about, then you can, watch them back. It's probably more beneficial for the Dragon Sculpt because that's more of a tutorial. This is more just me hanging out, sort of sculpting, and you guys asking questions and me trying to answer them as best as I can. So, you can become a YouTube member, or you can become a Patreon. YouTube member. So it's $4.99 a month, and that's 60p per live stream. So it's a really good deal. You can become a Patreon as well, and becoming a patron will support me further. And you also get a whole lot more than you would on YouTube. So it's really highly recommended that you go on Patreon and do that and become a member. You'll get more tutorials, you'll get more videos. I think it's nearly a video a day every week, so it's worth it. And you also get previews of work that I haven't shown yet as well on there. So yeah. And lastly, I just want to thank everybody for coming in tonight. We're just going to go around and see if there's any more questions you have. I'm going to probably end this live stream at 10 o'clock. So let's see if you got anything else you want to ask me. Cool. So Megalobro says, would you ever do a portfolio review or art piece review to share your thoughts and so on? Yeah, I'm happy to do portfolio review or art piece review. Because I'm doing this all by myself, all this ArtStation, YouTube, Patreons and stuff like that. I did think about creating a Discord channel where everyone can send in their image of their model that they've created through either following the live streams, or if they've got a portfolio piece or anything like that, they can just go on there and we can make a Discord channel where everyone can share their designs and help each other, kind of make a community. And then I can, help out with portfolio reviews or art reviews and stuff like that as well. I have to look into it a little bit more though. It's not going to happen straight away, but I do want it to happen at some point. Okay. Asraf asks, any new tutorials about the pipeline of ZBrush to Photoshop? Wow. Yeah, I've got loads of free tutorials. I've got on YouTube, our YouTube channel, there's loads of free tutorials there. I've got the tutorials on my online stores. Those go through that as well. It all depends on what you're looking for, because there's only so many times I can say the same thing. So if there's something specifically that you want to see as a tutorial from ZBrush to Photoshop, then please, message me or on ArtStation or through private message on here on YouTube, and I'll have a well, on here on Instagram, and I'll have a look and see what I can do. But yeah, ZBrush to Photoshop it's the same techniques. It's just a different model at the end of the day. I'm happy to make more if you're really interested in it. So Joseph says, yes, he does. Marcus checked my 2 projects and gave. Yeah, so on Patreon, if you become a patron, then you can. I'll give you some advice and sort of overview of projects that you're working on if you want. Thank you, Joseph. Is there anyone else that would like to ask a question whilst we have some time? I'll give you guys a second. Don't all jump in at once. Might just do a little bit more sculpting whilst we do this. Whilst I wait. Yeah. How much time do people actually spend on their own personal projects after their full-time job? I know it's different for a lot of people. Students probably have more time than older people who have a job or have family to look after as well. But I just want to know how much time you spend on personal projects or personal development in your projects as well, because that can help you get further faster if you're spending more time working on your personal development, really. So yeah, it's always something I've always wanted to ask, because I think I spend far too much time on personal work, and I don't really, get out too much, I guess you could say. And there's content to make all the time. But yeah, I enjoy it. I enjoy the sculpting. Okay, looks like we're coming to an end soon. I think I'm gonna call it quits soon. If anybody's got any more questions, then please, it's your last chance. Ask. Yeah, Joseph, becoming a father, you probably will have less time. It's perfectly reasonable to say that, because kids are going to definitely take up more of your time, but a few hours per week is not bad, as long as you keep to it. Cool. All right, I think that's it for tonight. I hope everyone has enjoyed this live stream. It's difficult to do these live streams when you're not too you don't quite know what to talk about a lot of the time. So if you guys have any anything you want me to talk about more, just please let me know in the chat next time, and I'll look into it and give my thoughts and opinions about it. So the next live stream will be on Monday, and it will be back to the tutorial, the dragon tutorial, and we're going to be working on the torso of the dragon. So get ready for that. Like I mentioned before, if you haven't already, sign up for a YouTube member, become a YouTube member, and you can watch those old live stream archives. And next Thursday, we'll continue with this piece. I want to try to get this piece done by the end of January, and take it into Photoshop, and I can show you some techniques inside of Photoshop that I use in order to make it look more like a concept, basically, or final concept. So I just want to say thank you to all my patrons. Thank you to my one member, Joseph, out there on YouTube. And yeah, hope you've enjoyed this live stream. I'll leave this live stream up the rest of this night in case people haven't seen it and they want to watch it again, or want to watch it. But tomorrow it will be archived into the membership. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on Monday. Take care. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in more exclusive content and want to support my work further, then please check out my Patreon page at MLW_creative for more. Also, view past live streams you might have missed in Tier 3 tutorial support, where I will be archiving future streams moving forward. If you are interested in other full-length tutorials, brushes, and models, then check out my online stores for more useful content. I would also like to thank all my subscribers and patrons for supporting me for this long. Again, thanks for watching, and stay safe.